Canada's naval defense is at a crossroads. The choices made today will shape the country's security for generations to come, and the stakes have never been higher. The Royal Canadian Navy's 4 Victoria-class submarines, built in the 1980s and acquired from the UK in the 1990s, are now outdated and unreliable. These submarines were once considered a cost-effective solution, but decades of service have taken their toll. These aging vessels spend more time in repair docks than on patrol, limiting Canada's ability to secure its waters and support international missions. Maintenance is constant, and unexpected breakdowns are increasingly common, straining both resources and personnel. With retirement set for the mid-2030s, the urgency to replace them is real. Procuring new submarines is a years-long process. Delays now could mean a dangerous gap in capability, leaving Canada vulnerable at a critical time. At the 2024 NATO summit, Canada announced a major procurement project to ensure no gap in underwater capability. This move was met with both relief and anticipation by allies, who rely on Canada's contributions to collective security. This isn't just about replacing old hardware. It's about maintaining a credible defense posture in a complex world. Modern submarines are vital for adapting to new threats, from cyber warfare to territorial disputes. Submarines are essential for intelligence, surveillance, and deterrence, especially for a country with the world's longest coastline and vast Arctic territories. They silently patrol beneath the waves, gathering information and projecting power where it's needed most. The decline of the current fleet puts this capability at risk. Each year, the risk of a catastrophic failure grows, and the ability to respond to emergencies diminishes. The cost of keeping them operational is rising while their effectiveness drops. Money spent on patching up old submarines could be better invested in new, more capable vessels that meet today's demands. Without a modern submarine force, Canada's sovereignty and security would be compromised. The ability to monitor and defend its vast maritime approaches would be severely weakened. The replacement project signals Canada's intent to remain a serious maritime power. It's a commitment to allies, to Canadians, and to the nation's future. Now the focus shifts to selecting and integrating a new fleet that will serve for decades. The process will require careful planning, international cooperation, and significant investment. The stakes are high, and the timeline is tight. Canada's next steps will determine its place in the world's maritime future. When Canada launched its search for new submarines, the shortlist surprised many. There were no American contenders in the running. This decision marked a significant shift in Canadian defense procurement, raising eyebrows both at home and abroad. For decades, Canada has relied heavily on its close partnership with the United States for military hardware and technology, so the absence of U.S. options was notable. Instead, the focus turned to South Korea's Hanwha Oceans with their advanced KSS-3 submarines, and Germany's ThyssenKrupp marine systems, offering the cutting-edge Type 212CD. Both are recognized for their innovation and reliability in submarine design. The main reason for this shift? The United States hasn't produced conventional diesel-electric submarines in over 60 years. Today, every submarine in the U.S. Navy is nuclear-powered, designed for different missions, and on a scale that doesn't fit Canada's needs. Nuclear submarines are not only prohibitively expensive for Canada's defense budget, but they also face significant political resistance. Many Canadians are wary of nuclear technology, especially for military use, making such options a tough sell. What Canada truly needs are advanced, non-nuclear submarines, vessels that can operate quietly and efficiently in the country's vast and challenging waters, from the Pacific to the Atlantic and deep into the Arctic. Both South Korea and Germany have become global leaders in building these conventional submarines, with decades of experience and proven track records in delivering high-performance vessels to navies around the world. Their designs offer the endurance, stealth, and advanced capabilities that Canada requires, especially for patrolling the Arctic's icy waters and protecting its extensive coastlines. These features are essential for sovereignty and security in a rapidly changing region. The procurement process was driven by a focus on proven designs and experienced builders, rather than simply sticking with traditional allies. Canada prioritized technical excellence and operational suitability above all else. While the United States remains Canada's closest defense partner and ally, this particular project required a different approach, one that looked beyond geography and long-standing relationships. In the end, capability and suitability took precedence over tradition. Canada's unique needs demanded a tailored solution, not a one-size-fits-all answer. Canada's choice reflects a pragmatic, future-focused strategy, one that ensures its Navy is ready to meet the challenges of tomorrow wherever they may arise. The Arctic's growing strategic importance is a key driver for Canada's submarine renewal. Melting sea ice is opening new shipping routes and attracting military interest, especially from Russia. Submarines with under-ice capability are vital for sovereignty and security in these remote waters. The new fleet must operate safely and persistently in harsh Arctic conditions with advanced navigation and endurance. Beyond defense, Canada wants this project to boost its own marine industry. Bidders must commit to investing in Canadian jobs, technology, and shipbuilding. The goal, not just new submarines, but a revitalized domestic industrial base. Canada is investing in both security and long-term self-reliance. While Canada pursues its own submarine deal, the AUKUS Pact between Australia, the UK, and the US has dominated headlines. AUKUS is about providing Australia with nuclear-powered submarines to counter China in the Indo-Pacific. Canada's project is fundamentally different, focused on conventional submarines and national sovereignty, not power projection. Canada's procurement is a competitive process with German and South Korean suppliers, not a strategic alliance like AUKUS. Canada was never part of AUKUS and has distinct defense priorities. While both projects strengthen Western maritime power, their aims and technologies diverge. Canada's new fleet will support NATO, but its core mission is defending Canadian waters, especially the Arctic. The scale and ambition of AUKUS are on another level. Canada's independent path reflects its unique needs, not a rejection of alliances. These are parallel, not competing developments in global security. President Trump has publicly backed the AUKUS Pact, reaffirming U.S. commitment alongside UK leaders at the 2025 G7 summit. This show of unity is meant to reassure allies and project strength against China. Yet behind the scenes, the Trump administration quietly launched a Pentagon-led review of AUKUS. The review questions whether the U.S. can fulfill its promises to Australia without weakening its own Navy. This duality, public support, private doubt, reflects the tension between alliance commitments and America First priorities. The outcome will reveal if the U.S. prioritizes arming allies or rebuilding its own arsenal. The stakes are high for both AUKUS partners and U.S. credibility. The Pentagon's AUKUS review is driven by a crisis in America's submarine building capacity. U.S. shipyards are struggling to meet Navy demands, producing fewer submarines than planned. Only 2 shipyards can build nuclear subs, both facing labor shortages and supply chain bottlenecks. The pandemic worsened these issues, slowing production even further. AUKUS adds pressure. The U.S. must deliver Virginia-class submarines to Australia while meeting its own needs. This could create gaps in the U.S. fleet at a critical time. The review's core question, can America ramp up production without compromising its own security? The answer will shape U.S. alliances and global naval power. Industrial limits have become a major geopolitical issue. The Pentagon's review of AUKUS is a top-to-bottom reassessment, driven by America First priorities. The main question, do the strategic benefits of arming Australia outweigh the risks to the U.S. Navy's own strength? Analysts are modeling whether production can meet both U.S. and AUKUS timelines. Alternatives like boosting UK or Australian shipbuilding are being considered, but come with delays and complexity. For Australia and the UK, the review creates uncertainty about their future defense plans. For Canada, it validates the choice to diversify suppliers and avoid over-reliance on U.S. industry. The review signals that even close allies must plan for the limits of American power. The outcome could reshape Allied defense strategies worldwide. There's confusion about a supposed U.S. demand for Canada to buy $20 billion in submarines. This simply never happened. The high-profile submarine deal is AUKUS, involving Australia and the UK, not Canada. Canada's procurement is a separate, competitive process, tailored to its own needs. The U.S. was never a likely supplier, as it doesn't build conventional submarines anymore. The timing of Trump's G7 visit and Canada's submarine shortlist announcement led to mistaken assumptions. No evidence supports claims of a U.S. sales push to Canada. Canada's project is about modernizing its navy. AUKUS is a grand strategic pact. The reality, different allies, different needs, different deals. Canada's decision to partner with South Korea for its next generation of submarines marks a significant turning point in global defense relationships. This move is not just about acquiring new technology, it's about reimagining how alliances work in a rapidly changing world. Choosing South Korea or Germany as partners reflects a broader trend. U.S. allies are increasingly diversifying their defense suppliers. This isn't a sign of disloyalty to the United States. It's a pragmatic response to new realities, especially as the U.S. can't always provide the right equipment at the right time, or in the necessary quantities. America's own industrial base is stretched thin, facing supply chain issues and production bottlenecks. By looking beyond traditional suppliers, allies are strengthening Western security and building up the industrial capacity of friendly nations, making the alliance network more robust and self-reliant. This reduces over-reliance on the U.S. and encourages innovation and competition among allies. For Canada, it means acquiring submarines tailored for Arctic and Atlantic missions, vessels that meet its unique needs, while also creating jobs and economic growth at home. These contracts support Canadian workers and foster advanced skills in the domestic workforce. For the U.S., these developments serve as a wake-up call, a reminder that its leadership in defense cannot be taken for granted. America must revitalize its defense industry, invest in innovation, and ensure it can meet both its own needs and those of its allies. If the U.S. falls short, its security guarantees could lose credibility, and allies may look elsewhere for support. This could reshape the balance of power and trust within the alliance system. The world is moving toward more complex, multipolar security arrangements, where cooperation is essential but not guaranteed. Initiatives like AUKUS show that deep cooperation is possible when interests align, but Canada's path demonstrates that middle powers are increasingly making independent strategic choices to secure their futures. The future of global security will depend on whether these shifts lead to a more resilient, interconnected network of allies, or if they result in a fragmented order where trust and cooperation break down. The choices made in the next decade will determine which path prevails and shape the future of maritime security for generations to come.